When the cost of getting married is much higher than the cost of hiring a prostitute, and your marriage partner's emotional intelligence is even lower than that of a young escort, why would you still choose to get married? This question was raised by a young man born in 1996 at our singles event. At the event, none of the 7 or 8 young women present could respond to this topic. Then, I brought up the same question at a more exclusive event. A young woman born in 1992 said, first, she doesn't want children, and second, she wants to pave the way for her grandmother. She said, investing in marriage might not—
Oh my God. Wait, is this what Ryan was talking about? The ancient Chinese secret that could change how you understand your life and your energy. Click the link in the top comment. Find out now.
not bring happiness in the future, but investing in escorts definitely has no future. Pretty well put, right? Then, another young woman born in 1991 had an even more classic response. This question's really ridiculous. You're comparing something legal to something illegal. There are plenty of illegal businesses that make a lot of money, so why do you still go to work? See, that's the level she's operating at.
I'm 43 years old and I've never been married. I also haven't had children. After all these years, I've turned myself into an isolated island. You all ask, why don't you get married? Who actually likes being alone? If only I could meet someone who could make me feel their sincerity and authenticity. Would I really still be single now? And still be like this? Then everyone says, actually, you don't have to be so real. You can pretend, you don't have to always tell the truth, right? People don't like hearing the truth. They don't like hearing honest words. Maybe that's my biggest problem. Whenever I see a problem, I just say it out loud. I seek out the truth. But the truth is often very harsh. And in doing so, I end up hurting myself. That's why very few people can get close to me. Because after all, in times like these, everyone wears a mask. People like to hear pleasant words, and they've already gotten used to it. But someone like me, who isn't good at saying nice things, who doesn't know how to please others, who just points out problems as I see them, ends up offending people and getting hurt myself. So it's even harder to meet someone. That person I think is suitable for me, so that's why I say I don't want to get married. It's not that I haven't met anyone.
Why is it that so many older single women have a hard time getting married these days?
It's because they don't want to compromise themselves. I've heard a lot of people criticize older single women, and I think those men are just jerks. What does it even mean to criticize older single women? Think about it. All these years, she's come this far, right? She's worked hard to improve herself, to become more beautiful, to enhance her abilities. So why doesn't she choose a high-quality man? Right? Then what's the point of all her hard work? And when you talk about older single men making choices, aren't you men also making choices? Why don't you pick someone who's short, unattractive, or overweight? Don't you have to make choices too? Whether it's natural selection or seeking benefit and avoiding harm, whether you're a man or a woman, we all want to choose an excellent partner. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Right? Also, how do you define a victorious woman in Dalian? For example, in Hong Kong, or from my own experience, a lot of times when you want to become outstanding after you leave school, you definitely work really hard. And when you're focused on your career, it's inevitable that you'll sometimes neglect your relationship. That's completely normal. Right? Also, people often say, oh, it's hard for older single women to get married. But don't you think that many of those high quality women, whether we're talking about women in general or those who are capable, have all gone through a period of accumulating life experience and improving their abilities before achieving what they have today? Just look at Sanchez or Bezos' partner. They're both over 50 and have children, but they're still successful, aren't they? You mean Bezos' sweetheart? Oh, that's just a common perception about women. I think at any time, we should live for ourselves and not let others define us. Secondly, even though I'm a man, I don't think we should label others as leftover women just because they're older and single. What does leftover woman even mean? Life is our own, and we should live however makes us happy, right? I'm so outstanding, so I have the right to choose any man I think is excellent, don't I? So don't care about what others say about you or the labels they put on you, okay? As long as I'm happy, I can raise my standards as much as I want. I can look for whatever kind of person I want. What's important is how to become more and more outstanding myself and how to live a happier and happier life. That's what matters.
Why is it that girls nowadays can't find a partner? Because they want someone tall, and preferably handsome too. He should be honest, but also have a bit of a bad boy side. Not only should he have some money, but also a bit of power. He should be able to take her traveling everywhere, but he can't be the least bit annoying. She should know how to dress well and also know how to style her. He must be clean and tidy and also know how to cook a little. He should look fair and clean, yet have masculinity. She hopes he's good, but reliable at home. He can look honest, but not naive. Not too bold, but not afraid when things happen. He can look streetwise, but not actually be. His looks should be handsome like Eddie Peng, with a bad boy vibe like Zhu Yawen. She wants someone who accepts her emotions, controls temper, and respects her opinions. She's not in a hurry, she'll wait for someone perfect before a relationship.
A man born in 1985, 40 years old, with an annual income of around 400,000 to 500,000, was matched with a woman born in 1992. But before even meeting her, the man directly refused. The reason he gave was that she was too old. "Oh my God," I said. "She's 7 years younger than you. How is she too old?" Then the man bluntly said that he himself is still young. Women who earn less and are about the same age as him all dislike him for being too old. Now, it's not easy for him to make this much money, and he works so hard, so he just wants to find someone younger. Is that wrong? What do you all think about this mindset?
I'm clearly already 35 years old, but I often feel like a young girl. I'm clearly already 35. But sometimes, when I'm happy, I'm still like a child. This girlish heart of mine has always been there. But honestly, it really is time to get married. Yet I still just want to have a proper romance, maybe that's naive. Actually, I still think that having a normal romantic relationship and then getting married is better. It's like, that's the normal process, right? At the very least, both people should like each other a little, don't you think? I still often feel like a child when something makes me happy or unhappy. It always shows on my face. When I run into something upsetting, I just frown and look miserable. When something makes me happy, well, you can see it right away. How could someone like me possibly be suited for marriage?
I believe that after all these years, I've come to realize that for a woman, finding a reliable husband who acts with integrity and has principles is extremely, extremely important. Otherwise, at best, you might suffer domestic violence or end up deep in debt, like having to pay off his gambling debts or other loans for him and so on. In more serious cases, you could even lose your life. Just look at that wife murder case in Hangzhou, or the Hong Kong socialite dismemberment case, or the case in Thailand where a husband pushed his wife off a cliff. All of these were done by men. Men have physical strength, and when they're heartless inside. And with all the temptations out there, just think about it. There's nothing someone without principles wouldn't do. People who act without any boundaries are truly terrifying. Women will always be the vulnerable group. Women are emotionally dependent on men, and physically they're at a disadvantage. On top of that, there's the pressure of age, the rush to get married and have children. So it's really a helpless situation. So how can you find reliable blind date prospects? Based on my own life experience and observations, people who are reliable and have principles usually can be found among the following groups. First, those with religious beliefs. People with faith are governed by a higher power. And they must truly believe. If they're just the type who goes to gatherings on weekends or says a few prayers, that doesn't count. They have to be reverent, truly devout. I once met a guy while I was driving a taxi in Beijing. He was really talkative, and at the time we started chatting about this topic, and the conversation got pretty lively, so we added each other on WeChat. Later, he told me that he had converted to Buddhism. After he became a believer, he said he stopped causing trouble for others. He and his wife lives in another city. He's been driving a taxi in Beijing for many years, and he's very eloquent, having dated quite a few women. He caused quite a bit of trouble for a lot of people. But after he converted to this particular branch of Buddhism, he completely stopped getting involved in romantic affairs and returned to his family. So you could say that haven't really put him in check. Secondly, there are those high-level executives working at state-owned enterprises in Zhengzhou, for example. These people are under the party's supervision. If their wives notice anything suspicious or if there's any issue at home, these people will all be dismissed from their positions, so the price to pay is very high. And finally, when it comes to these big companies like a certain well-known factory in Shenzhen or companies like Zhongbao Trust, many of the employees working there they all started working their way up from the grassroots, and it's not easy to work hard enough to reach a high position and hold company stock. However, just like with Zheng Mofu, as long as employees are found to have committed things like infidelity, domestic violence, and so on, the company can intervene and impose disciplinary actions. So marrying these kinds of people at least ensures that they have boundaries in their actions and won't do anything outrageous. But if you get involved with people from private companies or others who aren't subject to such regulations, then it really comes down to their character. It's really all about luck.
Granddaughters in Dali really having trouble getting married? Watch the video.
How hard is it for older single women nowadays? If you don't get married, they'll cut off your water and electricity and call you leftovers, say you're wilted vegetable leaves or leftover food on the table. They insult you in the harshest ways possible, using older single women as a target for ridicule, as a way to entertain themselves, and as a tool to vent their emotions. And if an older single woman does get married, marries a man, then everyone shifts their target to insult the man, saying things like, he must be useless, has he never had leftovers before or what, to marry someone who's had her water and electricity cut off. Some even say worse things, calling the man spineless, saying they'd rather stay single than marry an older single woman, and in the end he just became someone who picked up the slack. And it's as if older single women have a really hard time finding their place, and no matter what they do, it's always wrong.
Ladies, don't let yourselves be brainwashed by the internet. In our village, there's a woman who's 47, divorced, and has 2 sons. She also has an unmarried younger brother. Matchmakers are constantly coming to her door with proposals. She's just very picky. Later on, a matchmaker introduced her to the owner of a listed company in the neighboring city. He drives a Rolls Royce and fell for her at first sight, insisted on marrying her and no one else. He pursued her over half a year before they married. The man bought her a villa, a Bentley, and gave her 80 million yuan. After the wedding, she said she didn't want children, so the husband agreed not to have any. In the future, her younger brother will be general manager first, and when her 2 sons from her previous marriage come of age, they'll inherit the company. The older a woman gets, the more life experience she has, and the more she attracts successful men. Now, there are 100 million more men than women, so women really don't have to worry about getting married. I have a few friends in their 30s to 40s, and they all married very well. Being in your 30s is truly the prime of your life agent. Sell yourself short, sisters. Ladies, never settle. Why should you get married just to become someone's free housekeeper and have children? Sisters, you must hold your ground and never wrong yourself. There are 100 million more men than women, so take your time, choose carefully, and don't rush.
A lot of men like to sit in their cars for a while after work, but I think women probably enjoy it even more. I've already been sitting in my car for over half an hour. Honestly, there's nothing really bothering me. I'm just zoning out, letting my mind wander. Somehow, being in this small space gives me a special sense of security. Don't you feel the same way? If I had to name a worry, it would be that it's almost the end of the year again, and I'm not sure whether I'll go home for the new year. Today, I want to share something from the heart with you, and also answer a question from a netizen. I'm 36 years old this year, which is my zodiac year. It's been like this for a while. Since I was 20, I've been spending the new year alone. A lot of people probably can't understand when you have parents and family, why would you choose to make yourself look so pitiful on a day meant for family reunions? I rarely talk about my family, even with friends in my daily life. Many of my friends know I have a sister, but actually I also have a brother. When you were little, what were you most afraid of? When I was a child, what I feared most was my parents fighting. For as long as I can remember, our family has never had a meal together at the same table, not even during the New Year. You might be curious, didn't your family have a table? Of course, that's not the case with our family. There was rarely that kind of warm, happy atmosphere. It's as if it never existed in my memory. Our family doesn't have a single complete family photo, and I only realized this a few years ago. Because once I went to a friend's house, and as soon as I walked in, I saw several family portraits displayed in their living room, all in photo frames. At that moment, my mind just froze, because I had never imagined that the family could be like that. Back to why I stopped spending the new year at home since I was 20, it's because I couldn't feel any happiness in my family. I don't know at what moment that started. The atmosphere at home would suddenly become tense again, and then, right after that, it would be the countless arguments I've heard over and over. Have you ever experienced that kind of atmosphere? So, when I was a child, I often wondered why they even brought me into this world. I really wanted to escape from that so-called home. When I was a child, I didn't have the ability to leave, but after I started working at 20, I thought, I finally have an excuse not to go home. I only see my parents once or twice a year.
Of course, there are feelings between us, but we barely talk. My older brother and sister are both married with kids, but I don't plan on getting married. I've never longed for marriage. I've had a few relationships, and at first, I fantasized about escaping my original family through a man. Later, I realized that no one is obligated to save you. What others give you can be lost in an instant. The moment you start having fantasies about someone else is the beginning of your pain. Looking back now, I find my former self really ridiculous. People often leave comments asking, if you don't get married, don't your parents pressure you? How do you deal with your parents pushing you to get married? Honestly, my approach isn't really something others can use as a reference maybe in other people's eyes. It's completely rebellious, I just don't answer their calls. I never reply to messages urging me to get married. In the other daily life videos I share, I seem to talk quite a lot, but actually in my life outside of work, I speak very little. You could even say I'm a bit of a loner. I don't like making friends, and I habitually push away men who try to get close to me, which is also one of the reasons I've been single for so long. So being alone, not getting married, and living by myself are not problems for me. Since I'm not married and don't have children, all my time is my own to manage. I love working out. I enjoy having a drink aside from the burden I feel about going home. Nothing else really bothers me. Now I'm also learning to make videos to share my daily life. And when I look back at the records of this past year, I feel like I am slowly getting better. This has also helped me see the meaning in recording the present moment. Honestly, it took a lot of courage for me to share my daily life because I'm someone who is very shy about expressing myself. I have all those negative personality traits: sensitive, insecure, introverted, withdrawn. I actually really dislike how sentimental I can be. But maybe it was the encouragement from fans a few days ago that gave me the courage to openly share my vulnerability and inner struggles with you all. No matter what reason led you to choose to be alone, even though there's nowhere to really talk about it in daily life, we still need to give ourselves a little space to breathe. It could be in your car, or finding a place where no one else is around to let out the pressure that society puts on women of our age. Today feels like it's just me rambling to myself, and I can't seem to find the right words to end. So I'll close with a quote from Li Huan. My happiness has only one source, and it grows solely from within. It has nothing to do with the external order of reality.